Mr. DesJarlais.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate all you gentlemen being here today and giving your testimony. Mr. Singh, I had a few questions for you. The U.S.'s ability to work its way into the beef market in South Korea is certainly a success story about our capabilities in becoming a key player in foreign markets that were initially reluctant to importing U.S. products. Following the 2008 protest in Seoul, South Korea, against the importation of U.S. beef, we became the top supplier by 2016. These sales even exceeded $1 billion in 2016, which is a substantial increase over the pre-Korea Free Trade Agreement sales levels. How are you investing in market development in Korea, and how has that investment helped build consumer confidence in U.S. beef?
Yes, in Korea, we work it basically from the left to the right, if you will. There's importers, and then we work through the whole food service establishments. As far as Korea, we work it to the retail, and we work it right down to the consumers. So our programs basically are pretty profound in the fact that they reach from the border all the way to the consumer. And we recognize consumers vote every day, and that was one of the issues that we had in Korea, as you know, back in 2008. But initially in 2008, we couldn't even get an advertising agency to say we'd want to promote U.S. beef in the market. They thought that was such a negative. And so there's been a tremendous amount of work that was done, and all of this was done through working through the channels, working through very judiciously developed supply chains, which was done with MAP program and FMD program and industry dollars that were attracted to because of those programs. And after about 10 years of this steady persistence in the market, that's how we did achieve this. But it's a long pull. But you know, trade access, and this goes back to the earlier question, is very important. But trade access does not guarantee, for example, market share. Trade access does not help remove some of the SPS barriers that we deal with that surface when we're working in these markets. It doesn't qualify customers. It doesn't build supply chains. All these types of things that we're doing, you call it soft marketing, if you will, but these things are really what dignify trade negotiations. And I think this is that's proven to us in Korea. We proved the same thing in Japan. And I think this is really the importance of the MAP and the FMD program, is that it's that constant commitment to the market that is unwavering, and that's very important in the international marketplace.
Okay. Thank you. And most U.S. beef, though it's consumed domestically, is my understanding that Japan and other countries in Asia have proven to be growing premium markets for beef cuts that Americans find less desirable. What are these cuts, and what are we doing to promote them in Japan and other Asian markets?
Well, that's what we call the fifth quarter. There's a lot of work that's been done. For example, like a beef tongue in the United States sells for 3 times more than it will be in the United States, and I think that's the beauty of the export market. Every pound of meat that we export is sold for more in the international marketplace than it would be sold here. And so what we've taken as an example is mountain chain tripe that we don't eat much in this country. It's valued in Japan, and we'll get, again, a premium of 2 to 3 times what it comes in the United States. So we take a look at a market, and we look at the international marketplace like it's a mosaic. And as we look at different countries, what kinds of products will apply to these different countries? And this is the export success that we have, is we have a diversified portfolio going to almost 100 countries and maximizing the value of each cut, of each item that goes into these various markets. And that's really been the success. So today, the average producer in the United States is producing beef receives about a $275 export dividend. That's the premium you get from the export market. It's $60 on a market hog.
Okay, and finally, in our last minute here, China is the fastest growing beef market in the world, and we're missing out on a crucial market share with the current ban. Aside from market share programs, what are some other means available so that we can continue to restore international confidence in our beef exports to increase the likelihood China reopens its market to U.S. beef?
That's a very tough question, because I think for 13 years now we've been denied access to the Chinese market. I think that we're always trying to figure out how we can work with the Chinese. We are working, let's say there is the closed market of China, but the USMEF with our industry partners are working behind the wall, if you will. We're trying to build clientele, we're trying to develop supply chains, we're trying to create a demand pull from within the market. So once that market does open up, We are ensconced already in the market. That's the same kind of example we did in Japan 30 years ago, but we think that's going to be the recipe for success. We got to have some demand pull from the Chinese themselves. And you're right, it's the fastest growing market in the last 10 years. Last year, over $1.2 billion, 1.2 million metric tons were imported into China, exported to China.
Thank you, Mr. Singh.
You
You
bet.
back.